It's finally here. Some custom ore generation in Minecraft. Let's see how to do that. Forging Fabric courses with advanced topics such as entities, custom structures, and 3D armor models linked in the description below. Alright, we find ourselves back in IntelliJ once more, and in this tutorial we're finally going to tackle one of the most requested topics ever, custom ore generation. And you're gonna be crazily surprised that while it might look quite complicated, it actually is fairly straightforward. But for the time being, let's just go into our world package, into the mod configured features class. And once again, I will copy over some stuff. All of this is, of course, available to you in the description below, in the GitHub repository, in individual gists as well. And you can see that we have two different things that we need. One is a list of ore feature config targets right here, and then the other one is once again the configured feature. So the list here is actually very, very interesting because what it basically does is it says, okay, stone and stone ore replaceables right here can be replaced with this mithril ore, and then deep slate ore replaceables can be replaced with this deep slate mithril ore. So we're basically defining what can spawn where, and it was very interesting if we actually go into the stone ore replaceables, we can see this is a rule test. And specifically, this is a tag match rule test. So what it basically looks for is that, hey, is a specific block inside of this block tag? If that is the case, then indeed that block can be replaced with mithril ore. So that's the interesting thing here. Now, if you just think a little bit further, you can first of all, of course, see netherrack as well as the base stone nether right here. So you can see, that should pretty much mean that you can also replace netherrack with something. If you go one step further, how can you do end stuff? Well, literally just copy it over. Instead of using blocks.netherrack, use blocks.end, and then you have a rule test for end. So this is pretty much how easy it is to, well, add some other stuff here as well. Highly recommend just try it out and see how far you get with it. It should be very straightforward, especially if you have a little bit of Java knowledge there. Something like basic to intermediate should be more than enough for you to do this. And then when it comes to the configured feature right here, you can see the mithril ore configured feature once again uses the feature.ore and then a ore feature config. Now this ore feature config is very straightforward to understand. It just basically takes this list right here, and then the size right here is the size of the vein. So this should be the, I'm not sure if it's like the average vein size or the max vein size, something like that, but it's the vein size. And if we actually go into the feature ore and see where this has been used, this is used in the ore configured features class, and we will actually be able to find, let's see, for example, something like emerald right in line 55 actually has a size of 3, and then 2 is actually the smallest one, which is the ancient debris small. So keep that in mind, right? So I wouldn't add this size, I wouldn't make it less than 2. I probably wouldn't even make it less than 3. I highly recommend, if you want your ore to be really rare, maybe 3 should be enough, but there is one more thing that we can basically do in the place feature in just a moment, where you can also change how many veins spawn. So for this, we're actually going to need a new class in the feature package, which is the ModOreFeatures. That's just what I called it, and this is just going to have some helper methods for us, so I'm going to copy them over one more time. This is, of course, once again, all available to you as well, so we can actually take a look at them. I believe in the place features one they are in, so let's just go ore gold right here, and then they are there they are. So you can see this is the modifiers with count, modifiers with rarity. So I've just basically taken them. They're all private. I don't know why. If they would be public, it would be much better, but for the time being, we're just going to basically copy them over because they're not that complicated. It's going to be fine. And then in our mod placed features, once again, I'll copy over the mithril ore, and it's going to be very straightforward indeed. You can see this is the placed feature in this case. So we're going to take the modifiers with count. So how does this work? Well, this should be the veins per chunk. So we're going to see 7 veins per chunk. And then we have a height range placement modifier. So this modifiers with count, as you can see, takes in a placement modifier, and there are some really cool ones. So this is really cool. The trapezoid is basically a triangle with one point at -80 and the other point at +80. What this does is basically the placement modifier here of trapezoid makes the distribution of this ore so that it basically spawns the most in the middle of those two, well, y values, right? So the most ore we would expect to find right around 0. Even though -80 does not exist, that doesn't matter. Then it's basically cut off at the bottom point. So you might have seen the picture that is how ores spawn in 1.18.1. it's really interesting, and there are some really cool placement modifiers as well. So if I middle mouse button click on this and actually press Control H after clicking on the placement modifier here, you can see there are some really cool ones for the placement modifier, but it even goes further, because not only can you use different placement modifiers, you can also use different height providers. So if I click on this and press Control H here, you can see there's bias to bottom, uniform, there's trapezoid, just like we've seen, the constant one, very biased to bottom, and weighted list. You can basically spawn your ores however you would like them to. I highly recommend, once again, playing around with this. I cannot stress this enough. Playing around with this, the numbers here is just the best idea. And after we have added this, we can now add the mod ore generation right here. So mod ore generation. And what you will find is that the actual method here looks very, very similar to the other ones. So let's just import this, pressing Alt and Enter. You can see this one actually just adds them all to the found in overworld biomes. And then this is the generation step underground ores, which is very important. If you middle mouse button click on this, you can see underground ores happens before vegetal decoration. Therefore, when we go into the mod world gen class right here in the method, we want to mod ore generation to generate the ores before we add the flower and the trees. That's very important. Keep that in mind, otherwise it will not work. So be wary of that. But otherwise, that is pretty much all that we need to do. You can see, overall, it's not that crazy when you think about it. Of course, there's a lot of stuff to play around with, namely, of course, the size here and then the count right here. But once again, be open to experimentation, try it out a bunch of stuff. Also take a look at the vanilla examples. Cannot stress that enough. But then that's pretty much all that we need. So let's generate a new world and let's see if it works. All right, friends, I was back in Minecraft. So let's see. I think I already spotted it right there. It is. So we already have some of our custom ore spawning right here. You can see deep slate mithril ore, some more here. So this would be at, what is this about? So let's just go into creative again. And then this is, 39. So that's, pretty much what you would expect it to. There's some more even up here. So you can see spawning. That's actually not our ore. This was diamond. Let's see some more. There it is. So you can clearly see there is quite a few of it spawning all around here. And this is really freaking awesome. That's also a really freaking awesome cave. So let's actually see if we can also find some in the stone right here. That would be, sort of the best thing if we can also find that. Right, because of the crazy bias towards the bottom, right? Because of the -80 and then to the +80. It's very, very rare in stone, actually. So what I have done is I have this fill command where I just basically where I can replace the tutorial mod mithril ore, this one right here, with air, and you can see like it's no blocks were filled. And so this should do it, all the way down more or less. So, and you can see no blocks were filled. So this is also a way that you can basically look for it. You don't have to necessarily only replace stone. You can also replace your own custom blocks here. And you can see still no blocks were filled. No blocks were filled. Like, it's nowhere near as prevalent as in the deep slate. However, I have actually found some. So I did like fill some of them, but I just didn't find them. I believe I literally, there it is. So there are actually some. That's just very, very good. But yeah, that's pretty much. So it's very, very rare. But once again, one of those things where play around the numbers a little bit, and then you're going to probably get to exactly what you want to get to with that. So that's really cool. And that's actually how easy some custom ore generation is in Minecraft. Right, but that would already be it for this tutorial right here. I hope you found this useful and you learned something new. If you did, I would very much appreciate a like. And don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials just like this one. I also want to thank all of my lovely Patreon supporters for supporting me and this channel. It is very much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. So, yeah.